formiddag, og jeg befinner meg på et diskotek som heter Ritz her i Stockholm. Og rundt omkring meg her så er det masse kameraer og journalister og mennesker, og det regner med at det kommer 400 mennesker inn i dette lille lokalet. Og alle kommer hit for å se David Bowie.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome David Bowie.
The one gone a secret, a love a secret in the UK, torn apart in the UK, in the dribble of Mayday. 87 and cry, 87 and cry, but there's no one in love, and there's no one in mine, yeah, and only you rock it on through the sky. The days were the teens, boys, of the times before the big guys. And it is the number of the enemy, you start hanging on the enemy. But there's no one to love, and there's nowhere to scream. And only you break some to one away. But it couldn't be done without love. Couldn't be once without us. 87 and cry. 87 and can't make love with my man. You can't make mistakes with baby. Nothing but good of you. I would love you back. Now you're ready for the real. About Nina Hagen. First question of the day, what do I think about Nina Hagen? I'll come back to that. Okay, what can I tell you about the tour? This time, the tour will be much more performance. It will have a stronger dramatic content, and the songs will be chosen for the show rather than show to present the songs, if that makes any sense. But it'll be a very theatrical presentation. Oh, Peter has an update on Nina Hagen.
Yes, Nina Hagen is alive and well and living in my house in the Bahamas.
You know they'll quote you on that, Peter. She did stay there. It's just a joke. Thank you so much. We'll see you on tour.
Ja, det var...
Blue Jean. I think there's a nerd busting out of me. I kind of felt very at one with the sneaky little gangster guy in Into the Night, the cameo thing that I did for John Landis. I've got great empathy with that character. The least like me, I guess, I hope anyway, is The Hunger. I felt very uncomfortable with that role, although I loved being involved in a Tony Scott movie. I thought Tony was tremendous, absolutely tremendous. And his second film being Top Gun, I thought, why did you give me your first film, Tony? But these things happen. I think the same thing will happen with Julian, by the way, on the Absolute Beginners thing, which I personally love. I think it's a great little movie. It's a very new approach to making movies, but the same thing will happen with Julian, is that frankly, Tony, nobody would touch him after The Hunger for years, and then suddenly he gets Top Gun. Now he's just done Beverly Hills 2. And the guy's like he's the biggest thing since sliced bread in America. And the same thing will happen with Julian. I know it. He'll make his next film, maybe not the next one, maybe the next one. And suddenly Julian will be on the map again, you know. It's such a fickle thing, the film thing.
Yeah, really.
Well, they know what they're after. Young girls, don't kiss me goodbye. Rockets, they're shooting up into space. Buildings, they rise to the sky. Bang, bang, I got mine. Bang, bang, reach for the sky. I got a good friend, or maybe you'll take.
I think you've got to be pretty emphatic and upfront and forward about what you're trying to do and what you're trying to say in rock and roll. It's a people's culture, so I don't think it's too wise to be too clever. I'm going to do a rock and roll tour this year. The only statement that I can make visually with clothes that is not fashion is this. This is totally it's timeless. I feel very comfortable in it, doing what I'm doing, writing the music that I'm writing. And of course, I've always worn this jacket.
Okay, now the Beatles. How much did the Beatles affect the way you looked and dressed back in the early to mid 60s?
Not at all. I wasn't a Beatles clothes fan at all. No, I never. I was more into like the Who and all that. I mean, I was very much a mod in the 60s. You know, it was all hair and the right Fred Perry T-shirts and the length of the trouser had to be just so and all that. I mean, it was all very sort of French, which the mods really came. The whole mod look in England came out of French fashion, and at that time was really good for guys. French fashion and Italian fashion, but it became like the mod look. So I was much more into that than I was into sort of Beatle jackets and stuff.
David Bowie's new video to his new single.
Und noch dazu kam noch was drauf, obendrauf. Und zwar, sein Flugzeug sollte aus Rom kommen, hier in München landen. 20 Minuten nach dem Abflug in Rom hieß es Bombendrohung. Das Flugzeug musste umkehren, musste ausgeladen werden, durchsucht werden, neu aufgetankt werden. Dann erst ging es wieder los. Und dann konnte er in München nicht mehr landen, weil gibt es eine Sperrfrist sozusagen. Bis 23 Uhr dürfen in München nur Flieger landen. Deshalb musste der Flieger umgeleitet werden. Der ganze Tross, der ihn abholen wollte, natürlich auch. Das heißt, alles musste nach Nürnberg düsen. Aber dann war er endlich da, unser David. Und hier ist er auch schon.
Meine Damen und Herren, im Jahr 1983 wurde David Bowies bislang erfolgreichstes Album Let's Dance veröffentlicht, das gleichzeitig auch den Beginn seiner Verbindung mit der EMI darstellte. Die darauf folgende Welttournee, die Serious Moonlight Tournee, wurde weltweit von ca. 3 Millionen Menschen gesehen und hatte allein in der Bundesrepublik über 200.000 Zuschauer mit Konzerten in Bochum, München, Berlin, Bad Segeberg und Frankfurt. Im Jahr 1984 sahen wir David Bowies nächstes erfolgreiches Album, Tonight, das gefolgt wurde von seiner Single mit Mick Jagger, Dancing in the Street, dessen Premiere wir live als Video beim Live-Aid-Konzert erleben durften. Den Schauspieler David Bowie sahen wir 1985 und 86 in 2 äußerst erfolgreichen Filmen, Labyrinth und Absolute Beginners, zu denen David gleichzeitig auch ein Soundtrack-Album veröffentlichte. Doch damit nicht genug. Es ist mir ein besonderes Privileg, Sie heute darüber zu informieren, dass David Bowie 1987 wieder auf eine große Welttournee gehen wird, die ihn selbstverständlich auch in die Bundesrepublik Deutschland führen wird. Der Konzertveranstalter dieser Tournee ist ein Mann, der wohl keiner besonderen Vorstellung bedarf. Meine Damen und Herren, Fritz Raum.
So, die Entscheidung ist gefallen, die Würfel sind gefallen. Bitte, wenn Sie was zu schreiben haben. Ich darf die 4 Termine in Deutschland bekannt geben, 4 Open Airs. Es geht los am 6. Juni in Berlin vor dem Reichstag als Eröffnung eines 3-tägigen Rockfestivals anlässlich 750 Jahre Berlin. Das wird organisiert von Peter Schwenko. Dann am 7. Juni auf dem Nürburgring als Höhepunkt der Veranstaltung, mehrtägigen Veranstaltung Rock am Ring, organisiert von Marek Lieberberg. Und dann gibt es 2 weitere Open Airs am 13. Juni im Hamburger Stadtpark und für Süddeutschland am 18. Juni, Fronleichnamstag, im Stuttgarter Neckarstadion. Und jetzt bitte, Ladies and Gentlemen, David Bowie.
Bang, bang. I got mine. Bang, bang. The sun don't shine. I got a friend on videotape. He'll drive a sports car until it's too late. But we'll have a hot time on the town tonight. Love is my best, and it's the best yet. Bang, bang, I got mine. Bang, bang, sun don't shine. Bang, bang, now you all angels. Bang, bang, you ought to be in pictures. Rise, buildings. Oh girl, my problems can't follow me. Phone calls, I take my machine. I wander lonely to the sea. Lonely? What does it mean? me. So bang, bang, I got mine. Bang, bang, you were next in line. Bang, bang, you're reaching for the stars. Bang, bang, and you don't know where you are.
Why do I record so many Iggy Pop songs?
Bang Bang war das also, das war ein Iggy Pop Song und er wurde auch gleich gefragt, warum er so viele Iggy Pop Songs aufnimmt. Und David sagt, ja, es gibt viele Leute, die Rolling Stones Songs aufnehmen oder Elvis Presley Songs oder Muddy Waters Songs und ich finde halt Iggy Pop Songs gut und glaube, dass sie mehr zu Gehör gebracht werden sollten.
I didn't like what I did very much after Let's Dance with the Tonight album. I think I rushed
Also mir gefiel das nicht so gut, was ich nach dem Let's Dance Album gemacht habe. Das war irgendwie nicht so meine Art, aber jetzt bin ich wieder mittendrin.
Have I already worked on the program that I'll be playing on the German tour?
Die Frage war, ob er sich schon ein Programm ausgedacht hat und David sagt, ja natürlich, das Programm wird sehr theatrisch sein, theatralisch, dramatisch, es hat eine Dramaturgie, eine durchgehende Dramaturgie, die nicht unbedingt etwas mit den Songs zu tun hat. Er wurde vorhin auch gefragt, ob er nicht neue Sounds entwickeln will und sagt daraufhin als Antwort, ja, keine neuen Sounds, aber vielleicht neue Darstellungsweisen im Theater und auf der Bühne.
And it's fairly experimental, madam. Person who asked me if I'm doing any new sounds. Maybe the sounds this time being replaced by something that I'm doing visually, but it's a return to that kind of theatre.
I've nothing much to offer. There's nothing much to take. Absolute beginner. But I'm absolutely sane. As long as we're together. The rest can go to hell.
Did I change my sexual life because of AIDS?
Die Frage musste natürlich kommen, ob er sein Sexualleben wegen AIDS gewechselt habe. Er sagte zu dem Fragesteller, guck mal doch mal in dein Bett, was machst du denn so in den letzten Zeiten? Nun ja, David Bowie sagte, er würde natürlich seinen AIDS-Test machen lassen bei sich und natürlich Kondome benutzen, wenn er häufigen Partnerwechsel betreiben würde.
I would definitely have firstly an AIDS test and I would naturally use French letters. Anybody who didn't would be a fool if he didn't know the history of his sexual partner. I've always been a pioneer of new trends.
Die Frage war, ob er, der sich ja immer als Pionier sozusagen darstellt, wie er sich jetzt sieht. Und David sagt, er sieht sich gar nicht so als Pionier. Er glaubt, dass es Leute gibt, die wesentlich mehr Pioniere sind und wesentlich mehr Pioniergeist entwickelt haben in Sachen Musik. Und er zitierte einige deutsche Gruppen, zum Beispiel Neu oder Harmonia oder diesen sogenannten Düsseldorf-Sound.
For me, it's one of the interesting parts of being an artist. When there was an electronic movement happening in Germany, I was very totally thrilled to try and simulate what was happening with that.
Diese deutsche Elektronikmusik, die etwa zum Ende der 70er stattfand, hat ihn sehr fasziniert. Jetzt gibt es offensichtlich nichts mehr Neues. Er fragt auch nach, aber es kommt keine Antwort von den etwa 300 Journalisten.
Other people who are far greater and more original pioneers than myself musically.
Like who?
What?
Like who?
Like Kraftwerk, to be but one thing. Kraftwerk are almost like...
Die deutsche Gruppe Kraftwerk zum Beispiel hat ihn sehr beeindruckt.
I know Kraft is a different translation. However, the word does apply that they're a very craftsman-like band, and they found something totally original in their early work, and they've kept to that style, and I like what they do very much still. What is the latest musical innovation in Germany, please? I don't know.
Da hört er selber. Die Journalisten wissen keine musikalischen Innovationen in Deutschland.
Oh, that's a shame. So there's nothing. Is there anything that followed up the Düsseldorf sound?
Und der deutsche Studio-Zar Ronny Plank wird von den Journalisten übel in die Pfanne gehauen. David Bowie stimmt da überhaupt nicht mit überein.
With Connie Plank in the Connie Plank studio? Oh, nobody cares about Connie Plank? Yeah, that's terrible.
Nothing much could happen. Nothing we can't shake. Oh, we're absolute beginners. With nothing much at stake.
A couple of years ago, when I did a Live Aid concert, I said this kind of event should take place.
Vor ein paar Jahren hat David Bowie dieses Live Aid Konzert gemacht und er war damals der Meinung, sowas sollte jeden Tag stattfinden. Nun hat er einen Song aufgenommen, wo eine Zeile drin ist, die geht so, We are the world, bla bla bla. Und er erklärt gerade, dass der Song eben von Iggy Pop geschrieben wurde und dass es die Meinung von Iggy Pop ist und nicht unbedingt seine.
Most concert tours these days, I think all of us a feeling that it's necessary to do benefit concerts and to try and give back.
Es ist wichtig, Benefizkonzerte zu geben, denn das, was bei dem Live-Aid-Konzert eingenommen wurde, ist nur ein kleiner Tropfen auf den heißen Stein.
I think one can do that as a rock artist, and I see that more and more of us are doing it. So if it's not any good at all, it does mean that on just about every tour now, there are a number of things that one can do from country to country that focus attention. Because you know, the money that's raised on something like Live Aid is really only a token of what's needed. I mean, it needs billions and billions of dollars to rectify a situation like that. So I think the one thing that a rock act can do is, as I say, contribute to refocusing attention on situations as they come up. And we will be doing similar things on our tour. Yes. Any film plans?
Ob er Filmpläne hat.
Taking two movies, one of which will be with Mick Jagger.
Tja, er wird 2 Filme machen, einen zusammen mit Mick Jagger, wo er selber spielen wird, und einen, wo er nur als Regisseur auftreten wird. Und wenn jemand von euch irgendwie ein gutes Manuskript hat für einen Film, dann bitte schickt es ihm zu.
I'm serious about that, yes, send it along. Definitely. I'd like to introduce my band. On keyboards and synthesizers, Richard Cottle. On percussion drums, Alan Childs. On bass guitar, Carmine Rojas. And someone who's been working with me for nearly 14 years, Carlos Alamo on guitar. Someone who's been working with me for about 6 months on lead guitar. I'm very honoured to have Peter Frampton. We're coming to work in Germany in June. Come to Berlin, and I think Neuburg, Hamburg.
Zum Schluss der Pressekonferenz spielt David Bowie nochmal seine neue Single Day in, Day
places to make a tent. She's gonna find us some money, try to pay the rent. That's the kind of protection that everybody's shouting about. That's it. You're staying day out. First thing she learns is she's the citizen. Some things they turn out right. When you're under the USA, someone rings a bell and it's all over. Gonna find us some money, steal it for that one good rush. We're staying, you're staying, you stay. Hey, hey, hey. She could use a little money, hanging on the arm like a cheap suit. She's got no money on there. She's on the other side. Come on, little baby. Late night, big time, police shakedown. Oh no. To nowhere. She's gonna take a train ride. Nobody knows her or knows her name. She's in the pocket of a old boy. Ooh, she's gonna take her a shotgun. Pow! Spin the grail, spin the jive. She's gonna make the world aware that she's one angry guy. Now let's everywhere. Suddenly they're shooting the town, shooting up a video. Touch, bullets and promises, angels in the dollar sound. Now let's damn, yeah. You're staying. Oh yeah. You're fading. Thank you.
Eine tolle Sache, diese Pressekonferenz mit David Bowie. Das vollständige Interview hört ihr und seht ihr demnächst auf diesem Kanal.
In a stage situation with the band with me and playing music. I mean, that seems sort of, hey, here we are. This is what we're like. This is what it's about. It's about music, and this is what we sound like. We're a good club band, man.
No, it's great. It's like a tour preview. I think got a lot of people excited.
She's an angry guy. Stay out. everywhere. Suddenly they're shooting them down. Shooting out video. Guns, bullets, promises. Angels singing to the sound.
For me personally, it'll be Madrid and Rome, because I've never played either of them. I've been to Spain and I've been to Italy, but only as a tourist. I've never played them before, so that'll be, I think, the most exciting ones for me to do.
Okay. Now, the album seems like it's like a lot more rocking and kind of noisy than the last two, and I'm wondering if you had playing live in mind when you recorded it.
Very much so. There are two things were kind of ingredients for that whole thing. Is the Serious Moonlight period, that Let's Dance album, was Niall did wonderful things for me on that album. He created an extraordinary sound, but with the inclusion of the horns and the smoothness of the whole deal, I started to become uncomfortable in carrying on with that direction, because I felt a little lost in that, and it was approaching an area that I didn't really feel I belonged in. And so coming to this album, I approached it from how I used to feel about bands when I start. I always go back to, when you get lost, you go back to point one. And so I approached the whole deal from what used to excite me about being in a band, and it just goes back to the guitar again. And so it became a guitar-oriented album. And as I was writing and feeling out the material, I realized it was just a tremendous album to be touring, and so the whole thing meshed together, and I put the amount of energy that I needed in to a rock album to really make it happen on stage.
Mm-hmm. Like, how about your musical role? Because you didn't play instruments on the past two albums, and you went back to doing that.
Yeah, I've gone back to doing that, because that was an integral part of what I used to do, and it produced the kind of sound that I really felt was me, because I was playing some of the stuff on it, and I was kind of giving it some kind of foundation, either the keyboards or a particular kind of rhythm guitar that I play, which is not like Carlos's, but it works, you know. I mean, it's not great, but it works. And so I wanted to kind of return to that. So I was happy to be. It was nice to be back in the band in that way, you know.
Was this one of those albums where you left a lot up to the band, or was it very much directed by you?
No, it's very, very structured, this one. I mean, I made demos of everything before we went in, and I played them to everybody, and I said, I want it to sound exactly like this, but better. Because I played everything. I programmed drum machines, and then played bass and guitar, keyboards, and synthesizer parts. I did the whole deal on the demos. And then I played the demos to Carlos and Erdal Kazilke, who's the drummer and the bass player and the synthesizer player and the trumpet player and the string player on that album, and Peter. And I said, this is where I'm going. That's the approach I want. And the demos are not dissimilar from this final album, except of course it's played much better.
Macht eine Musik zum Weghören. Dies schrieb einst ein Kritiker. Daraufhin entstand diese Schallplattenhülle. David Bowie war immer gut für Skandale. Das Publikum erwartete immer etwas Provokatives, etwas Ausgefallenes von ihm. Er durfte alles machen, nur nicht normal sein. 15 Jahre durfte er dieses Image behalten. Heute findet ihn niemand mehr verrückt. Vielleicht hat sich das Publikum ihm mittlerweile angepasst.
There's nothing much to say.
Er hat immer wieder von vorn angefangen, hat nicht nur seine Musik geändert, sondern auch sein Leben. Von den wilden, bewegten Jahren will der heute 40-Jährige nicht mehr viel wissen. Sie können mit mir heute 1987 sprechen. Ich will nicht mehr über 1976 reden, weil ich, bis ich schwarz wurde, darüber gesprochen habe. Das ist für mich 11 Jahre her. Ich habe so viele Änderungen in der Zwischenzeit durchlebt, sodass ich an meiner Vergangenheit nichts Faszinierendes mehr finde. Es gibt so viele Bücher und Zeitungsartikel, wo Sie das alles nachlesen können. Meiner Meinung nach haben sie immer dann eine gute Platte produziert, wenn das Publikum sie abgelehnt hat. Mein Publikum hat mich oft abgelehnt, weil ich ausgefallene Platten gemacht habe und nicht umgekehrt. Immer wenn ich kommerzielle Sachen gemacht habe, fingen die Leute an, meine Platten zu kaufen. Aber dann hatte ich es satt und fing an, nicht so kommerziell zu arbeiten, worauf die Leute ungehalten reagierten, was mich aber nicht weiter störte. Und ungestört macht er heute wieder Musik wie in den 70er Jahren. Weg vom sanften Disco-Sound, hin wieder zum Glauben Sie, dass ein Künstler sich auch politisch äußern sollte? Welchen Künstler meinen Sie? Sie? Nein, ich bin viel zu impressionistisch in meinen Texten. Ich finde, es gibt viele Künstler, die das gut können, wie die Gruppe Clash oder Bob Dylan, die sehr didaktisch vorgehen, die auf einen einzigen Punkt hinarbeiten. Meine Lieder sprechen mir die Wahrnehmung, das Traumhafte an. Ich schaffe dadurch eine Stimmung und das ist das, was ich am besten kann.
And that's my forte, that's what I'm best at doing. And so that's how I express myself.
Wenn Sie die Möglichkeit hätten, etwas auf der Erde zu ändern, was wäre das? Heimatlosigkeit und die Unterprivilegierten. Rockmusik hilft, Aufmerksamkeit zu wecken. Zum Beispiel in den 60er Jahren. Rock'n'Roll und Rhythm and Blues gingen Hand in Hand mit der Bürgerrechtsbewegung in den USA und halfen Verhaltensweisen gegenüber den Schwarzen zu ändern. In den späten 60er Jahren ging es darum, die Meinung zum Vietnamkrieg zu ändern. Und die Punkwelle entstand aus der wirtschaftlichen Depression hier in Europa. Die Aktion Live Aid lenkte Aufmerksamkeit wieder auf Afrika. Ich glaube, Rockmusik ist ein Instrument, das Anstöße geben kann, aufmerksam machen kann.
It can be quite picky like that. It can keep refocusing people's attentions.
In seinem neuen Video gibt er Anstöße. Seine Hauptdarsteller sind keine Schauspieler, sie sind tatsächlich Obdachlose und Unterprivilegierte.
Young girls, don't kiss me goodbye. Rockets, they're shooting up into space. And the buildings, now they're getting high. Bang, bang, I got mine. Bang, bang.
Is this really a final concert? No, of course not. No, we'll do one in May, then we'll do another concert in June. Is this the final tour? Ah, specific man. Who knows? I don't think so. Who knows? I'll be playing Belgium, I believe so. All the dates that we are taking in for the tour will be published over the next week or so. So I'm guessing at most, but I have good knowledge at some. Yes. Am I still into the occult? I don't think I ever was particularly into the occult. I'm certainly not in the occult now. What material will I sing on the show? It'll be quite different in character and choice from the Serious Moonlight tour. It won't just be a big hits tour. Because the last tour, I had a very big new audience coming in to see me, and I wanted to play as many of the songs that they'd heard on the radio over the last 20 years as possible, to really show the fact that I was primarily a songwriter and a performer. But this time, now they know that, this one will be a lot more theatrical and will have a strong dramatic content and will be very interesting. Will there be any videos from the concert tour? That's very likely indeed. It's a very visual tour. It's the most visual tour that I have done or will have done since probably 1974, 75, in fact. It's a very, very special tour for me. And I believe it to be quite adventurous in terms of what's happening with rock tours at the moment. Is it true I'm going to be making a film with Mick Jagger? Mick Jagger, as we all know him. Well, Jagger and I have been talking about it, and it's a strong possibility, yeah. We've been writing something this year, and if things go well next year, we both have the same time at the same place, then we'll make a film together, yes. The new LP, the new album is called Never Let Me Down, which in fact is the title song from it, and all 10 songs on it I've written myself, one with Carlos, and one with a guy called Erdal Kızılkay, who's a Turkish musician that we were working with. And the 11th song is Iggy's song, Bang Bang. The new film plans for next year are, other than the Mick Jagger movie, I have ideas on maybe directing my first next year. But it will be a small film, not a big film. Love story, teenagers. But I won't tell you any more. I can't find a part in it for myself, unfortunately. Oh, and the actor Mickey Rourke. Yes, he does a rap on the new album. Mickey was doing a movie in Ireland called Prayer for the Dying, but he was based most of the time in London, and I got to know him pretty well in London. And he said, like most actors, hey, I want to do a rock and roll single, you know? And so I said, well, you give me a part in your movie, and he never gave me a part in the movie, but I let him do a rap thing on one of the songs. Is he a good rapper? It's method rapping. It's an interesting approach to rapping. Does my son know how to play C minor 7th? He's looked at one. He's not really into playing music. He likes to listen to it a lot. But he's, at the moment, being 15 and a half, he's really into sports and rugby and skiing and all that stuff. But he likes Beastie Boys and likes Run DMC. BBC have banned my video in England, which I think is ludicrous. I don't think that they actually bothered to try and understand what the video or either the song were about, but got caught up in the usual yellow press kind of excitement because of what it looked like rather than what it said. Do I still feel a commitment to music? I wouldn't even bother going into the studio again if I didn't really believe in what I'm writing or what I'm doing. It wouldn't be worth my while. Thanks a lot. I see what you're getting at. I've been away at the film front. Just come back from the front. I've been away at the film front for so long. Does this mean that my interest in music is ebbing? Is that what you mean? No, not at all. I could never see anything taking priority over the music that I do. That firstly and foremostly is my interest. If films come along that are fun to do, I will do them, but they'll always be secondary to the music. This is an interesting question. You had the same, do you? I know exactly what it's like. How have I managed my teeth over the years? Well, I floss every morning. I put it down to floss and English dentistry. Yes. Is that your daughter down there? This is the last thing we do. Oh, hold on. 2 more questions, and then we're going to play another song for you. Yes? Do I have what? Do I have a job after the tour? Bye, see you on tour.
Sure, I'd like to say hello to the Mambo audience. And I'd like to see you on the Mambo.
Let's go! Young girls, they know what they're after. Young girls, don't kiss me bye-bye. Rockets, they're shooting up into space. And buildings, they rise to the sky. Bang, bang, I got mine. Bang, bang, sun don't shine. I got a friend on videotape. He'll drive a sports car until it's too late. But we'll have a hot time on the time tonight. Love is my best, and it's the best yet. Bang, bang, I got mine. Bang, bang, sun don't shine. Bang, bang, you all anxious. Bang, bang, you ought to be in pictures. Rise, buildings. Problems can't follow me. Phone calls, I'll take my machine. I wander lonely to the sea. Lonely? What does it mean? So bang, bang, I got mine. Bang, bang, you were next in line. Bang, bang, reaching for the stars. Bang, bang, and you don't know where you are. Rise,
An einem regnerischen Donnerstagmittag wurde vor ein paar Wochen in einer Münchner Disco ein Traum für 200 Journalisten Wirklichkeit. Zum Greifen stand er vor ihnen, umgeben von der zurzeit teuersten Begleitband, benötigte nur 1000 Watt und eine kleine Lichtanlage. Es war die Sensation. David Bowie, das erfolgreichste Chamäleon der Rockmusik, zum Anfassen. Der 40-jährige Londoner kehrte den Profi raus, versprühte Charme und erklärte Mambo, was man 1987 von ihm, Bowie, zu erwarten habe.
I think one of the chief things that seems to me on the album is the amount of references to artists that I like appear on it. There's sort of voice tributes to people like Smokey Robinson, Neil Young, John Lennon. They become very apparent, Prince. But the basic feeling of it, the high energy that comes from it, is a return to, I think, what I was doing in the middle 70s in a way. It's a definite, a radical departure from the Let's Dance kind of glossy sound. It's a much more of a rock and roll sound.
Im allgemeinen Jubel um Bowie geriet eine zweite Sensation in den Hintergrund. Die Wiederentdeckung eines alten Bekannten namens Peter Frampton.
Well, firstly, we were at school together. When we were about sort of 12, 13-year-olds. And Peter's father was my art master. And we used to play guitar in what was called the art block in our school in those days. Peter himself and a few other guys used to But if you know that you're not going to be a very good painter, you bring two things to school. One is the portfolio with all your paintings, and on the other hand you take a guitar because you know you're going to end up joining a rock band, and so that's what I did. And then Peter went off and had his own career, me too, and then last year Peter was going back out again with Stevie Nicks on tour in America, and receiving fantastic notices on his guitar playing, and reminded me that I really wanted at one time to work with Peter.
To nowhere. She's gonna take a city ride. Nobody knows her or knows her name. She's in the pocket of a poor boy. Ooh, she's gonna take her a shotgun now. Send the grail, send the tide. She's gonna make the world aware that she's one angry guy. And listen. You're staying, you're fading, and there's angels everywhere. Suddenly you're shooting them down, shooting them a video, touch, bullets and promises, angels in the dumbest sound. And it's
David, noch eine Geschichte, ja?
Think of is the human Negro blowtorch. I don't know if you've heard of him. He was a black guy who went into Washington Hospital in the 30s and said that he wanted to be checked out because he couldn't put his mouth near anything without it bursting into flames. And they put him in the bed in the hospital, and within a few minutes the whole thing started smouldering, and he ran out of the hospital and left. And he's well documented at that hospital. It's an extraordinary thing. They never saw him again, but he was literally burning things up with his mouth. But that's the only one I can think of. Oh, I know another one. Shawnee Bean and his family, who I thought were incredible. They were around the time of James I in England, James II in England. And Shawnee Bean was a highwayman who decided that he couldn't make enough money, and he went off to a cave with his girlfriend, and they would rob people going along the highway, then disappear back to their cave, but they could never sell all the things that they bought, so they were slowly starving. So then they started killing the people that they were stealing from and eating them. And it went on for something like 17, 19 years, and they ended up with their family of children of something like 20 kids, and they were living as cannibals in the caves. Under the water would come up during the day, so they were hidden. The water would go back at night, and they would come out. And they had a pitched battle with the men of the king on the beach, and they were finally taken to court and executed. And they seemed to show no emotion as each family member was disemboweled and hung, drawn, and quartered. And they just got used to cannibalism. That's another unusual story. Although there's hundreds of them. When you think about it. They do fascinate me, those stories.
Vom Italiener Edoardo Bennato,